cause for an arrest of Richard Allen. He's been charged with 2 counts of murder for the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it?
No.
On February 13th, 2017, 2 girls were dumped on the outskirts of one of the Delphi hiking trails in Indiana. The plan was simple. They went out for a little walk. They were to be collected later in the afternoon. Liberty German was 14. The older sister of Libby abandoned them at the edge of the Monon High Bridge Trail at about 1:30 p.m. This is the place where the timeline starts with a few people on it. A few minutes after receiving them, the girls moved to the bridge. They moved slowly over part of it and tried to make sure they stepped on the sinking wooden planks. Libby took a photograph of Abby at 2:07 p.m. when she passed her on the bridge. She uploaded it to Snapchat. There was nothing in the picture that indicated danger. The photo would be used in the future as one of the most popular shares in a murder case. Since then, no proof of communication has arrived on the part of either girl. We have passed into another passage of time. At around 3 p.m., the phone messages were no longer answered by Libby. Family members got worried when the girls did not report back at the pickup point. The father of Libby drove up to the trailhead and started calling her phone. There was no answer. Family members began to search the territory on their own. They checked the bridge. They walked on nearby paths. They looked along the creek.
If that picture was taken from one of the girls' phones, here's the problem because I've never met them.
At 5:30 p.m., official notification of the absence of Abby and Libby was received by law enforcement. The police came to the rescue in time. They liaised with family members and volunteers. The trail system and woody areas around the search areas were scanned by searchers. The ground was uneven. Daylight was fading. The visibility was poor in spite of the urgency. Later in the evening, police decided to put the active search on hold. They used the issue of safety and rough topography. The girls remained missing. This decision was to become the subject of criticism later. However, at that moment, the investigators thought that the girls could still be alive. Here, the case changes to the next day. On February 14th, at dawn, the search teams went back to the location. The search was then extended to the trails and into the adjacent premises. Before noon, the volunteer searcher found something strange across Deer Creek. It was that of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. They had been discovered on premises belonging to a resident of the neighborhood, about half a mile off the bridge. The place could not be observed easily by the trail. The scene was secured at once by the police. The area was sealed off. FBI agents and forensic teams were called, as well as state police. The police officers established that the young girls had been killed.
This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day.
Details of the cause of death were not put out. They said that they would not release information because they would endanger the integrity of the investigation. This point was the beginning of the fact that the case was monitored very thoroughly in the country. We come now to one of the very important developments. At the scene of recovering evidence, the police found the cell phone belonging to Libya in a place close to the crime scene. The phone had been broken, yet not spoiled. Upon examination, investigators found something unpleasant. Libby had recorded a video. The clip was short. The image quality was poor, but it also depicted a man walking with the girls at the Monon High Bridge. He appeared calm. His hands were in his pockets. He was dressed in a blue jacket, jeans, and a hat. Audio was also recorded in the video. There was the voice of a male saying, "Guys, down the hill." This is what investigators thought was the individual who committed the murders. The image and voice of the suspect were also included in the evidence for the first time. At this point, the investigation became public. In July 2017, police published a still shot of the video. They enlisted the assistance of the people in recognizing the man. It was made very clear that the man in the picture was a suspect. The image spread quickly. It was seen on the news, social media, and billboards. Tips were sent in all over the country. According to some estimates, the police agencies received over 40,000 tips. Yet no arrest followed. Months elapsed with little or no updates. This is where frustration started developing. In 2018, the investigators admitted that the case was complicated and still being investigated. They replied that they were checking out all tips. In 2019, police made a peculiar step. A second suspect sketch was released. This drawing was very different from the first one. Inquisitors indicated that the appearance of the killer could have been misunderstood. They indicated that the suspect might be younger than it was thought before. The change disoriented the population. Some individuals wondered whether the police were beginning anew. There were theories that another murderer was a local and was working under the eyes of the world. The case came to a halt despite the national attention. We revert now to a fact which was not long known. At the beginning of the investigation, a man named Richard Allen had been talked to by the police.
So let me show you a picture of this round, where it was found.
Allen lived in Delphi. He was employed in a CVS pharmacy around the trail system. In 2017, Allen called the police by himself. He informed them that he had passed the Monon High Bridge Trail on the afternoon of February 13th. He put himself there at the same time frame as Abby and Libby. He described his clothing. He claimed that he had seen other people on the trail. Since then, there has been nothing after that interview. Allen was not arrested. He was not publicly named. His message was recorded and kept. Years passed. This is where the case silently changed. In 2022, investigators started to conduct a thorough check of old evidence. They revisited witness testimonies, tips, and reports that were made on the initial days of the case. The statement of Richard Allen was impressive. He had acknowledged that he was on the bridge. At the same time, in similar clothing, the police desired his property to be searched by a search warrant. The search revealed a handgun that was a .40 caliber. They too reviewed critical evidence at the crime scene. A bullet cartridge that had not been fired was discovered close to the bodies. Court records indicate that later testing using forensic evidence linked that cartridge to the gun that Allen fired. The case has put this relationship at the center. On October 26, 2022, Richard Allen was sent to jail. The message was shocking in the town of Delphi. Allen had been accused of 2 counts of murder. According to the prosecutors, they thought it was Allen who was caught on Libby's phone. They claimed that he had employed a gun to take command of the girls and drive them off the bridge. The silent pharmacy worker was the one who was accused of murdering 2 teenagers now. The arrest was a cause of relief to many. To other people, it provoked more questions. In a lot of cases, the arrest has been sealed. The hearings in court have been cumbersome. Allen has pleaded not guilty.
No, you said you were there. Well, sure I did. We have people that saw you.
His defense case points out that the evidence is circumstantial and the investigation is in error. According to the prosecutors, the events, the video, the sound, the weapon, and the words of Allen are enough to prove that he was at the spot. The end result is yet to be established. And this is the reason why the Delphi case haunts America. Not that there was no evidence, but since the evidence was years old and solved now. 2 girls had filmed their murderer. The suspect was local, and the solution lay on the surface of it. Abby Williams and Liberty German were on a walk on a winter afternoon. They had faith in their environment. They believed that they would come back home. Rather, they abandoned one of the most disconcerting cases in the history of modern true crime. The court now has the truth in its possession. However, the effects of that day at Delphi will be felt for a long time, even after the ruling is made. The Delphi murders are not just about what happened on that bridge. They are about the years of silence, the missed connections, and the questions that still linger. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter of this story. In the upcoming video, we'll examine the courtroom evidence, the arguments from both sides, and the details the jury will be asked to weigh. If you have thoughts on the case or questions that still haunt you, share them in the comments below. And if you believe stories like Abby and Libby's deserve to be remembered, consider liking and sharing this video. Because some cases don't end with an arrest. They end when the truth is finally understood.